this was the emptiest I'd ever felt. I had
Mm.
all the things I thought were supposed to make me happy. I mean, I had everything people told me would make me feel a certain way, and I didn't. It was the emptiest I'd felt. And it was then that I realized I'd sacrificed the thing I wanted for the thing that was supposed to get it. I'd sacrificed the feelings of joy, freedom, and fulfillment for the things that I thought would bring me more of it.
Mhm.
And I'm like, oh my God, what did I do? I don't have to do this. I don't want to live the rest of my life like this. What is the answer? So, a lot of people spend time trying to pour it into their circumstances. The thing is, they don't realize that there's a cap on this. That can only change, and according to the study, 10% of your overall happiness baseline. So, if your baseline's here, it's only going to raise it here, no matter how much money, success, fame you get. But if you focus on the intentional daily activity, that will raise it 40%. You can 4x what you'd have with your circumstances.
Is there one thing, habit that the most successful and most fulfilled people get different or get right?
So, number one,
welcome to Balance and Breakthrough. I'm privileged to have an amazing guest in Jack Wagoner, and we talk all about gratitude and ambition and how to get the balance right between the two while achieving your breakthrough goals and dreams. It's a really special one, and I'm sure you'll love it. And thank you for being in this place where we want to live a happy, healthy, and impactful life by unlocking breakthroughs while nurturing balance in our lives, in our work, and the world. Let me know how you liked the episode. Jack is a 19-year-old podcast host. Originally from the States, he moved to France when he was 16, where he didn't only learn French in a matter of months, but also started an online business managing for people. He clearly overachieved, and he thought once he achieved his dreams, he would be happy. But he felt burned out, not fulfilled, but hollow. That's what prompted his quest to achieve not just success, but also find gratitude in the process. That's why he started his podcast, The Grateful Podcast. Over 125 episodes later, 200,000 plus views across YouTube, he is now a globally leading top 2.5% podcast host. Not only that, he stepped in the red circle at TEDx and is a sought-after keynote speaker. He's now studying behavioral neuroscience at Northeastern University here at the London campus, which is exactly where we met. Jack, welcome to the show.
Noah, thank you so much for having me. Thanks for the awesome intro. I'm so grateful to be here.
It's so amazing to record this. I mean, it's a surreal moment for me. We bumped into each other a couple of weeks ago on the street. I had come across your podcast and your Instagram and thought you're so cool. I have such an amazing message. And we bumped into each other maybe, like 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Just across the street at Piccadilly. And went from strangers to friends. And now, recording the first podcast of Balance and Breakthrough in person. It's amazing. It's amazing to have you. Let's kick it off. What is the mission that you're on? And where does this mission come from?
It's a great question to start with. And first of all, before we even get into that, I do want to say, like, it's incredible how the universe works, that we just randomly passed each other on the street, and in this entire city, in this entire world, you just followed me 2 weeks ago. It's not like I have millions of followers or anything, and you recognized me, and now we're here. So I'm so grateful for this opportunity. I think that uh, it's incredible how the universe works in that way, and it's
That's
aligned with
amazing.
my mission, which is to get to your question. I want to help people, as many people as physically, humanly possible, be successful in every aspect of their life. Realize that abundance can come in every aspect of their life. There doesn't need to be the sacrifice so many of us think there has to be. We don't need to sacrifice our relationships for financial success. We don't need to sacrifice our inner peace for a big fame, ambition, whatever you want to call it. We can have it all. And I think that's so powerful and so exciting to me that I can bring people this realization that they can have it all. They can have what they want. I want people to understand true abundance in their lives, and I want to be able to bring that to as many people as I possibly can because I've met people and I've realized in my life that I don't have to sacrifice my relationships for success. I don't have to sacrifice my happiness for anything, any accomplishment, right? And I want people to understand that they can have it right now. They have all the necessary components of success and joy, fulfillment in their lives right now in the present moment. And I got to this realization through a long road. I mean, I was always an achiever. We go
Mhm.
back to age 5 and I wanted to be a Jedi Knight. I was a Star Wars absolute nerd. And you move on a little bit and you get to 8 to about like 15 years old, and in that time, I wanted to be an MLB player. And I know that's not a very unique goal where I'm from. Major League Baseball, that's kind
Yeah.
of the national thing. Every kid wants to be a baseball player, but I know in Europe it's more like soccer. They want to be the next Ronaldo, Messi, Mbappe, whatever.
People will take their pick, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so this was my obsession. And it wasn't just like a normal obsession because baseball is a normal obsession for kids. I
Mhm.
took it to the next level again, where I, from age 8, I think it was the December 28th when I turned 8 years old, all the way to February 10th when I was 13, February 10th, 2020, right before COVID happened. I wore Phillies gear. Now, the Philadelphia Phillies are my favorite baseball team. My entire family's from the Philly, Pennsylvania area. And I wore Phillies gear, something Phillies, wristbands I'd wear on my on my arms. I'd wear jerseys, custom Wagoner jerseys, shirts,
Wow.
shorts. I wore them every single day to the point where I got a package from the Philadelphia Phillies owner's office with merchandise and special stuff and a letter saying, "Jack, you're an amazing fan. Thank you so much." I mean, this was my dream.
You went all the way.
Yeah, and when I got a bit older, this obsession with my goals turned into more. I mean, I was 15 years old and I'm in high school now, right? I have perfect grades. I mean, I'm doing great in school. I have a ton of friends, amazing social life. I'm a pretty good athlete. I was never world class, but I played 4 sports: baseball, soccer, basketball, rock climbing competitively. I
Wow,
sucked at
impressed.
basketball. I don't even wanna put that on there, but, it's true,
That's honest of you.
and I still wanted more. I mean, no matter how much I did, I wanted
Mhm.
more. I wanted to achieve more. I didn't feel like what I'd done was enough, so I made a crazy decision, still to this day, the craziest decision I made in my life, and I was the first person in my town's history to study abroad during high school. I moved to France alone for my junior year of high school. I knew nobody in the entire country. I barely spoke French. And I thought that this huge decision, this huge change, been reading all this personal development stuff, like if you want a big change in your life, you got to make a big change in your life. And so I did it, right? And it was for this reason of I need to do more in order to feel the way I want to feel. Throughout this year, I did a lot. I mean, I got to France and I very quickly learned that being at the top of your French class in high school meant absolutely nothing when it came to speaking and communicating. I mean, in the car with my host family, they start talking and I'm like, what the hell are they saying? I didn't understand anything. Like I can say bonjour, oui, whatever, 2
I
words.
think I think many people that are listening will be able to relate to that feeling.
Yeah, and then my first day of school, the next day, the teacher calls my name. I thought we are just doing attendance. Everyone around me said "we." I'm like, "Oh, we." And then she asked me another question, like, "What did she just say?" So I just go, "Je ne comprends pas." Only thing I knew how to say means I don't understand, and that very quickly became my motto for life. I would put myself in a situation where I just understood nothing.
Mm.
So I learned so much in this time, and I started to realize, all right, this is amazing. I'm making progress, but I want more. So what I do, I started an online business while I'm living alone in France,
As one does at 16
as
in a
one
foreign
does.
country.
Yep. And by the end of the year, I had 4 employees, and I
Damn.
was making pretty good money, especially for a 17-year-old now at this point. I had a bunch of friends. I went from knowing nobody to having a bunch of friends. I went from
Phenomenal.
having no income to having this online business. I went from knowing no French to now I was about to pass my national fluency certification, C1 in
That's
French.
incredible.
And
In
this
French, that's another achievement, bro.
and this was the emptiest I'd ever felt. I
Mm.
had all the things I thought were supposed to make me happy. I mean, I had everything people told me would make me feel a certain way, and I didn't. It was the emptiest I'd felt. And it was then that I realized I'd sacrificed the thing I wanted for the thing that was supposed to get it. I'd sacrificed the feelings of joy, freedom, and fulfillment for the things that I thought would bring me more of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh my God, what did I do? I don't have to do this. I don't want to live the rest of my life like this. What is the answer? And that's when I
Mm-hmm.
started to realize that I didn't need to achieve more to feel a certain way. I had all the necessary components to a happy, fulfilled life right
Mm.
now. And I could still go after my goals, but I don't have to sacrifice things. I don't have to sacrifice my happiness or my health for the success I wanted. And that is where my mission comes from. And that is what I want to share with the world.
Wow, Jack, that's so powerful. It's amazing. Such an incredible story.
Thank you.
I think where people listening, probably the first question they have is, it's very easy to realize that achieving the goals is not enough. But I think many people listening are ambitious, they have aspirations, they have dreams, and maybe there's something holding you back. Clearly you were super driven to go out and achieve. But from your experience, what is the number one thing that holds people back? Is it not dreaming? Is it, dreaming and not taking action? What holds people back in the first place to pursue the ambition?
So I don't think it's knowledge, because right now you look at our society and people know more about how to be successful than they ever have before. So it's not that people don't know how to do the thing. Actually, it's more frustrating than that. And that's the emotion I want to dive into here. It's frustration.
Mm.
It's the fact that they don't know why they're not doing it. People are like, "Oh, I know how to do that. That can't be that hard, but why am I not doing it?"
And that's the question that I think is holding everybody back. And nobody understands why they don't have the success other people have. There's never been a time in history where we've been able to compare ourselves to as many people in their success. And instead of lifting people up, I think it brings people down, because no matter how good you're doing in life, you're always going to be comparing your gag reel to everybody else's highlight reel.
Mm.
And it
That's
is
awesome,
just it is just a recipe for low self-worth. It's a recipe to feel not enough, which was the problem that I felt in the first place. And so it's about, okay, we know what to do. Why aren't we doing it? And I think it depends individually, but overall, it comes down to a decision. What I've learned from the coaching I've gone through, from
Mhm.
mentors I've had, from people on my podcast, is that every success starts with a decision. And I had a mentor tell me this a few months ago.
What's that decision though?
I'll get to that in a second. That's a good question. But I had a mentor tell me this a few months ago, and he said, "Jack, we always get our priorities." Because I was like, why am I not more successful? Blah blah
Mm.
blah. Why do more people not follow me? Why am I not making more money, Jack? We always get our priorities. And so I thought that I'd been prioritizing my success, but I actually hadn't when you looked at exactly what I was doing with my life.
Mhm.
And I think that most people have brought themselves to think that they're doing the things that they need to that they need to do to be successful, but they're not really doing those. And the decision that you have to make is to always be doing it. Once you have a goal, right? Everything that you do is going to either take you toward that goal or take you away from it.
Mhm.
And you have to align your life with that goal.
I
And
see.
so when people feel like they're being held back, it's not anything out here that's holding them back, because they have the information. There's never been more resources for people to be successful, but it's never been easier to feel stuck because we're comparing ourselves, because we're paralyzed by this information. And it's holding us back from making this committed decision to actually one thing and saying, I'm not going to stop till I get that. All of my action is going to be aligned to this worthy goal, and it has to be worthy. You have to want it. It
Mhm.
can't be what other people impose onto you. You have
Mhm.
to want it. And I think that's the main kind of thing that's holding people back, and the antidote, the beginnings of the antidote for it.
I see. So it starts with setting a goal, making a decision, and then prioritizing. But, everyone listening probably has to-do lists. And you're absolutely right. There is the knowing doing gap. If knowing how to get fit was enough to be fit, we would all be, have six-pack abs and be millionaires, and we're not. So I think you're saying such an essential thing. I'm wondering though, after the decision, what helped you take the first steps and keep going? People now see your podcast and, successful top podcaster, over 200,000 views. But you told me off camera, it wasn't that easy. If anything, it was a huge uphill battle, right? It took you a very long time to get your first guest on a show. I think if I remember correctly, you cold emailed and cold called over 100 strangers before you had your first yes. And I think, can you walk us through both getting started, right? That anxiety of that first cold email, first cold call, and what kept you going when you had no after no after no? Because I think many people will be listening, and they might have taken the first step and felt discouraged. So can you walk us through that?
100%. I don't know if I've shared it publicly, and I think it's a
Are you
great
comfortable
one.
too? Yeah.
100%. Yeah. So when I was first starting my podcast and trying to get guests on the show, I I started easy. I started doing some solo episodes, and then I took like my mom, my dad, who are incredible people. I took my friend down the street named Harrison, who's one of the best singer-songwriters you'll hear. Everybody, you should go check out Harrison Goodell. He's killing it. And all these people I knew, and I hit up a connection named Ben Mills. He's a climber, influencer, and that's how I kind of started. I'm like, who's in my network now? But my network was very, very small, right? And I'm like, I want to get these big people on the show. I mean, I started it because I wanted to speak to Ed Milet, Jay Shetty,
Mm,
these huge names, right? And
right.
I'm like, all right, I need to start working to that. And I watched a bunch of Chris Williamson podcasts and all these other shows. I'm like, let's just start emailing and DMing all the guests. And at this point, I have like 200 followers on Instagram. I have no reputation. I'm an 18-year-old kid. Who's going to listen to me? Who's going to take a chance on me? But I needed someone too. And so it was around 200
Oh my
DMs
God.
and
Oh
emails
my God.
before I got my first yes from a big name. And his name was Nick Pollard, who first took a chance on me. He's actually the guy that said the gag reel versus highlight reel quote that I said earlier. He said that on my show, and it was in the January of 2025 when I had him on my show. And from there, things worked. Nick had over 460,000 Instagram followers, and
That's
just
insane.
2 weeks
Wow.
before, he was on Chris Williamson's show, Modern Wisdom. And he, at the end of our podcast, I said, "Hey, could you introduce me to someone?" He introduced me to a guy named Mike Pridgeon, who has, I think, over 400,000 followers, incredible guy. And people just started introducing me to their networks. And it became so much easier. And I mean, it's still not a piece of cake. I'm still cold emailing, cold DMing people, but I had this vision, Noah. I was like, I am going to get this. I still see myself in a room like this with Ed Milet, with Jay Shetty, with the top people in the world. I see myself with them. And this vision is so strong in here. I'm not going to let anyone out here tell me that it's not meant to be. I'm not going to let an amount of no's tell me no. And it's for one reason, I think. It's the fact that I truly want it. I truly, truly
Mm.
want it. And so many people set goals that they don't truly want. They set goals that they think they can do. Bob Proctor, who's one of the greatest teachers in my life, I never met him personally, but I went through one of his programs. And he talks about A, B, and C goals. And this is one of the most profound things I've ever learned in my life. He says an A goal is something you've already done, right? If you want to get a new car and you have the old model of that car in your garage, that's not a goal. You know how to do it, right? Now let's say that's an A goal. Now let's say a B goal. A B goal is something that you've never done before, but you know how to do it. I mean, you you know how to record. You'd never recorded an in-person episode before, right? But you knew how to do it. And B goal is it's a level above A goals because you know how to do it.
It's uncomfortable where you like know in principle the steps and
right.
it entails or something.
Right. So it's a little more uncomfortable, but it's not quite at the level of like it's up here, right? So a B goal is something that you know you can do. And what I like to say and equate this to is kind of like what you go to college to study. So a lot of people they'll go to college to study engineering if they're good at math, if they're smart in physics, things like that, right? And so they know that they can do it because they're good at it, and they know that there's a clear path set for them. They just have to go and do it. And so that's a B goal. And now a C goal, that's the thing that like you're emotionally attached to. And the thing with the B goal is that if you know you can do it, right? But you're not seeing yourself progress, if you're doing it because you think you can achieve it, but you're not seeing yourself progress, it's a lot easier to quit because you're like, well, what if I go do something else that I know I can do? But with a C goal, and this was my podcast, I saw myself doing it. I didn't know how. I still don't quite know how I'm gonna get Ed Milet and Jay Shetty on my show, but I have
keep going.
Yeah, and I just want it so bad that nothing out here is gonna tell me no. And that's the thing. I think so many people are chasing B goals in their lives because they've never taken the time to set out and say, write down what is it that I truly want? What makes me feel alive? What makes me just so joyful and energetic that I'm gonna go after that no matter what, right? And that's the reason I kept going through that.
That's so amazing. I mean, what I find so amazing is that you had that clarity of what your dream is and what you wanted to do, and you didn't get discouraged. And how I like to think about your story and breakthrough is also, I love this amazing parable of the stonemason that, you know it, there's
I'm
a
not sure I do.
stonemason with who hits a rock.
Okay.
And he's trying to split a stone, right? And hits the rock 999 times without even having a splinter or even a crack in the rock. And on the 1000th blow, the stone actually, splits in half. But it's not the 1000th blow that did it, but it's all the 999 that went before it. So I think your story just, illustrates that so perfectly. And I mean, I still have to start this whole cold calling phase, and I'm super afraid of it. But knowing your story, I know what you can be, what you can see. So that gives me a lot of strength, and I think that's also what people have to understand, that it takes a lot of cumulative effort, and then it happens quickly. Kind of like pushing up a boulder, and then once you hit the top of the mountain, you can let it go, and it creates momentum. I think that's, we have to get over the hump.
100%. Yeah.
But the more profound thing is, how do you get that clarity of dream of that goal? Because how do we even set those C goals? Where do those come from? Like, is it just a matter of sitting down and journaling, or is it an experience that just hits you, or is it something that you always had with you and you just have to reconnect with it? How do you find your C goal?
Yeah. I think a lot of people will tell you different things for that. And I'm not sure there's a one answer fits all, right? But what I do know is that you need to spend more time with yourself, because that C goal comes from within. So whether it's something you had when you were younger, or whether it's something that you just need to discover now, it comes from within. And not enough people are spending time with themselves these days. I mean, something that I've always done is I've prioritized quiet. So in the mornings, and I've actually fallen out of this phase sometimes, and it's in the times that I burn out. In that time when I was in France and I had the 4 employees and I felt the most burnt out in my life, I stopped meditating. But
Mm,
when I'm prioritizing, even if it's just 10 minutes every morning to sit in quiet with myself, I get to spend time with myself and know myself because think about your best relationships in your life, right? If you want a good relationship with, let's say, a girlfriend or a wife, you're going to want to spend time with
time with
her,
that,
right? You
yeah.
want quality time and you want a quality relationship with yourself. So, why are so many people not spending time with themselves? And the time they spend with themselves, it's half assed. It's on their phone scrolling while they might have a thought in their mind that then gets replaced by another reel. We have to spend time with ourselves if we want to get to know ourselves, if we want to know what we want. And it's like an investment, right? You spend a little bit of time every day and it compounds into getting a better understanding of who you are and what you want going forward.
That's amazing. So you have a daily meditation or reflection practice. I mean, I love hearing that because, as you know, my parents actually met at the meditation retreat, and I grew up with meditation. And indeed, uh, I can tell from my own life the moments where I had silence and I could actually hear my inner voice. That's when I had clarity of what I want to do, where I want to go for studies. That's where my passion for climate change and societal challenges really crystallized. And but I also know how difficult it is to achieve silence, and it can often feel overwhelming because we have our own thoughts, and there's a lot of noise, societal expectation, news, and all of these things, and it's often quite uncomfortable to sit down. And when I think about meditation and the power of silence, I often like to think of one of Albert Einstein's quotes, which said, "The melody isn't in the notes, but it's in the silence between the notes."
That's amazing.
And what I like about this is that we think that, to a point of knowledge, if we just have all the notes, metaphorically speaking, it will be enough. But we have our own notes of, different societal expectations and things we think we want to do, and they're all jammed up because of all this noise that we get from the outside world.
Yeah.
But when we take the time to disentangle this like staccato of way too many notes, and like we create silence and pauses, we can actually start creating a melody of like our thoughts, our feelings, our motivations. And when I heard that quote, it made sense why we need silence, because without silence between notes, you don't get rhythm and melody and structure.
Yeah.
And that's why I would encourage people to follow your advice and meditate or journal and try to find that silence that creates the melody.
Yeah. Like man, that was such a good quote. I've never heard that before. Thank you for sharing that. I've always prioritized silence in bigger chunks as well. Like when after milestones, I think it's really important to take some time to be silent.
Mm,
After I graduated from high school, me and my best friend, we drove across the US, and we just camped for 30 days straight, and
wow.
we hiked and we rock climbed, and it was really fun, and I deleted social media. I still posted some podcasts, like, even from out there, um, like, just in the outside, but it felt so good, and I think that having an extended period of time of silence without distractions in nature, it also gave, a clarity that doesn't just come from the everyday. Like, I think if you can prioritize silence at least once a year for a little bit of an extended period of time, it also compounds, into more self-understanding.
What's the main difference that you felt on that extended trip compared to just like a daily meditation or reflection practice? Like, what was the big shift?
That's a great question. Uh, I think that when it comes to every single day, right? You can only go so deep, right?
Hmm.
And sometimes, I mean, we think 95% of the same thoughts every single day. So if you want to change what you're thinking, you only have 5% of your thoughts
Mm.
that you can kind of gear toward that change that can then hopefully accumulate into your subconscious. And a lot of my meditations look very similar to each other because they're at the same time every day for the most part, and they're for the same period of time in the same place.
Mhm.
That routine, it's great and it grounds me, but it doesn't go as deep as sometimes is necessary, I think. Whereas on that extended trip, I got so much time to, and it felt uncomfortable sometimes
Mm.
to have
Yeah.
so much time going really deep, really introspecting into understanding the way I think and even understanding how I react to things. I mean, I'm not sure if you ever spent a really long time with someone that you were really close to, but I mean, I've been best friends with this guy. Nathan is his name. We
Mhm.
went on the trip together since we were 4 years old.
Wow.
And we've spent so much time together. I mean, I'm always at his house, he's always at my house, and we grew up together, we climbed, we played sports, we did school, and on this trip, we never spent 3 weeks just us together, and by the end of it, we'll both tell you that we were getting a little bit annoyed with each other, and I got to witness myself how I react in situations and what my go-to reactions are, what my go-to maybe negative response style is, which
Mhm.
I don't do a lot, but that also helped me. Like, when you're immersed in something for so long, you're forced to discover new things about yourself, and that's something that you don't get necessarily by doing 10 minutes every day.
That's actually so great. I want to zoom in on one thing that you said, that we have 95% of our thoughts are the same as the days or days before. And I'd like to add most of them are tend to be negative because we have this negativity bias. And I think why both the daily practice is important, especially in the morning, is because before we turn on our phone, before we go about our day, before we hit by the news, we can choose our thoughts. We can choose our mindset. We can choose how we want to set the tone for the day and what we want to do. So it kind of increase that 5% window, right? And we can take more conscious choices and maybe have 6% or 7% conscious choices instead
Yeah.
of 93. And um, also going on extended trips because you don't have your routine, you don't go to uni, you don't go to work, you don't go on your commute, you don't see the people you see every day, likely you will have your 95% of thoughts are going to be different because you just swapped your life. You're in a
Yeah.
completely different routine. So that pattern interrupt also lets you have new thoughts, spark new ideas, take new perspectives. I want to dive deeper into your realization about burnout though.
Yeah.
Um, so you achieved all these things, you had that company you managed, um, you felt empty and hollow, although you arrived, although you overachieved, you were successful at school, at sports, in your business. You thought you had it all you're supposed to feel full. And you're not the only one that talks about this so-called arrival fallacy. And since you started this podcast, you went on a 2-year journey so far to understand why do we feel empty when we arrive, and so many successful people, right? There's this famous Jim Carrey quote: "I wish everyone achieves all the money, all the success, all the fame they dream of, and realize it's not the answer."
Mhm.
What I would love you to talk about is the realization you arrived at, and this one point that you made, that this emptiness upon arrival has more to do with biochemistry than with motivation. Walk us through that. What do you mean by that?
So I think we've all heard of hedonic adaptation, right? But
Maybe explain it.
I'll explain it. Good point. So hedonic adaptation is this principle that no matter how high or low we feel, we'll all reset to the same baseline, right? And it's evolutionarily necessary because without it, our ancestors would have hunted one animal, and then they would have feasted in the cave, and they never would have hunted again, we wouldn't be here, right? So the idea that once we achieve and we reset, that we need to have motivation to achieve again, that is necessary. Something that's crazy about this is that Dr. Sonia Lyubomirsky, who's one of the world's leading happiness researchers, actually found that this reset, right? The actual adaptation process is faster for positive things than negative things. So if you have something positive in your life, you're more likely to reset to your baseline faster than if you have something negative in your life. So already this is working against you, right? And the problem is that this survival mechanism is still operating in a world where survival for most of us here
Mm,
listening to this isn't actually the issue. The issue is fulfillment.
mm,
And so what do we do about that? Well, Dr. Sonia Lyubomirsky found that there are a few ways to slow down this process. All right. So number one, we have intentional daily activity. So intentional daily activity actually can make up about 40% of our happiness baseline, right? So a lot of people spend time trying to pour it into their circumstances. So
mhm,
they'll say, "All right, I'm just going to try to change my circumstances and I'll feel better." And the thing is, they don't realize that there's a cap on this. That can only change, and according to the study, 10% of your overall happiness baseline. So if your baseline's here, it's only going to raise it here. No matter how much money, success,
mhm,
fame you get, you're only raising it 10%. But if you focus on the intentional daily activity, that will raise it 40%. You can 4x what you'd have with your circumstances. On top of that, active conscious appreciation will actually lower the slope of that downward curve. So if
mm,
you reach a high point and you're actively appreciating what you have, then you're not going to slope down as far. So now we go from the idea that we're here and we're going like this, right? Now we go
mhm.
from that to maybe we're a bit higher and it's coming down like this.
I
So
see.
there's no real way of actually stopping the hedonic adaptation process. But the other interesting thing is novelty will increase the likelihood that you can kind of keep it up here because adaptation only happens to something that's a constant pattern. So if you're consciously making effort in your life to change things up a bit, if you're taking a new way home from work, for example, if you're talking to someone new, that novelty will also stop the adaptation, or not stop, but slow down.
Mhm,
So when I say biochemically, I mean that we are neurologically wired to reset to this point, right? And people think that they can just achieve their way out of it, but there's an actual limit on how much they can achieve
mhm,
their way, right? It's only 10%. So the way that we have to reframe this is we have to focus on the things that we can control to stay happier, to use this hedonic adaptation process and morph it into something that we can use as a tool, right? And the way that we do that is through gratitude, conscious active appreciation, and
mhm.
ambition, daily intentional activity toward a goal, and also novelty. And these things are what's going to keep us, or at least for the most part, feeling better, feeling more joyful, feeling more fulfilled, rather than just being kind of a slave to this hedonic adaptation process.
So is that kind of your how you think about happiness? Those the 10% is just difficult to unlock. It's like because hedonic adaptation, but gratitude, you said ambition and novelty, this 90% is what we can attack. Can you unpack that? Because we just talked about how ambition and achieving our goals is not making us happy. Yet you say being ambitious and striving makes us happy. So how do we need to think about that?
So I think the important thing is achieving doesn't make us happy, but the ambition and the pursuit of it can. And we're so
Uh,
attached to this achievement, right? And I group that in the circumstances thing because the achievement is when I get there, I will feel this way. That's the arrival fallacy. But the
mm,
thing is, we can't take out ambition from the equation. Me and you, people like me and you, people like our listeners, they're always going to have ambition. They're always going to have goals. You can't take that out, right? That's what the adaptation process is saying. We need to be working towards something. And we love progress. Humans love progress.
Mm-hmm.
They love it so much. And so if we're consciously focused on the intentional daily activity part of it, and I say toward a goal because it makes it intentional. When we have a goal, we're working towards something intentionally. We want to get there. We recognize that getting there will not solve the problem inside, but it gives us something to work for and to progress toward and to serve society, right? And that part is so important because if we do just have the gratitude part, that's complacency, that's apathy. It's
Mm-hmm.
saying, oh, my life is just fine and settling right now, right? We need to have goals. So that keeps us moving forward. It keeps us unlocking our desire, which gives us energy. Desire brings us the energy we crave, right? But the gratitude's also so important because you need to recognize that you have everything here. You have all the necessary components to feel happy in your life right now. It's not going to change, right? It's not going to change when you get there. You're still going to have all the same macro parts of your life. And you can be happy now. One of my favorite Buddhist ideas from Thich Nhat Hanh is that if you're at work
Love Thich Nhat
and
Hanh.
you're thinking about being on the beach while you're at work, guess what you're going to be thinking about while you're at the beach? Work.
Right.
So you need to understand that when you're up here, it's not going to really change your inner circumstances. You have to change that now, but you still can work toward that goal. And that combination, that duality, the dichotomy, having both at the same time, the and, not the or, is so important.
Mm,
And that's what will create fulfillment in our lives.
that's amazing. I love how you broke that down, that the thing that makes us unhappy is making our happiness dependent on achievement, but striving and being ambitious is a source of happiness. I recall a study that tracked, I don't know how many several thousand workers, and tracked their subjective well-being and tried to parse what's the thing that made them most happy on any given workday. And actually, it was having made progress at work that day. So I think
Yeah.
momentum is so important. Still, I think it's very difficult to both strive, be ambitious, go after goals, and be grateful at the same time. One question I have for you is the source of burnout or unhappiness that we only strive, that we only pour everything into work, or is it that we have the wrong attitude towards it? I'm asking that because I'm wondering, are we burned out and are we not happy because we don't get the balance right of the activities that we do, or because the thing we're striving for is not the right thing?
Hmm. I think something important to remember is that we are not made for work. Work is made for us.
Mm,
We are meant, or we crave this progress, like I said, and work gives us that ability to serve, and it gives us an ability to feel fulfilled through doing, right? And so we're doing the things that can create happiness. Everything you're doing in your life can create happiness. The most successful people, they do the same things as most of us, but it's the way in which they do it that makes them outliers, that makes them successful. It's like you could take Grant Cardone's actually proved this. Like you could take him and throw him in the middle of nowhere, and he could build up a successful business in 90 days. He's done it. It's the way in which he does these things. And so I think that the problem isn't necessarily what we're doing, it's what we've attached to what we're doing. It's the
mm,
way we think that we should be doing it, and I think most of us have the wrong idea. Most of us go into work and we're dreading it.
mm-hmm,
And it's not because of the work, it's because of the things that we've attached to that work. I mean, there are people doing the same work as them that are happy in it. You can go to a country where they have nothing
mm-hmm.
and you can see people laughing and playing on the streets. And you can go to New York or even here in London and see some of the richest people unhappy and angry. So I don't think it's what we're doing. I think it's the way in which we do it. I think it's what we attach to it. I think it's what we look to get out of things that creates burnout, if that makes
Mm,
sense.
mm. And on that point about dropping a successful person in the desert and they would achieve success and happiness and fulfillment, is there kind of distilling what you have learned, what you've heard from guests, and a kind of distillation of our conversation? Is there one thing, habit, or attitude that the most successful and most fulfilled people get different or get right to achieve both success and happiness and fulfillment?
I don't know if there's one, but one thing that I have noticed among the people that aren't just the most successful financially, but also the most internally successful, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have that abundance that we talked about at the beginning where they haven't felt the need to sacrifice things for the success. What I found is that they deeply value their personal relationships
Mm.
and they will make everybody feel seen and feel heard. I mean, I did a podcast with a billionaire, and she texts me and says, "How are you doing?" And I can't imagine how many people are texting this woman. And she'll say like, "Hey, Jack, how are you? What's up?" And when we went over the podcast, instead of having her team look at the thumbnails and stuff, we went over them together. We went over the titles together to see what would feel the most authentic. And this rings true for so many people. They make people feel better. One of the
Mm.
greatest lessons I've ever been taught is that if you make people feel better, they will follow you. And there's this principle that Bob Proctor talked about, which is leaving everybody better than you saw them. Even a random person you cross on the street, just little smile at them.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can do that, if you leave everybody better than when you first met them, if you leave every place a little bit better with a little bit more joy, and you're intentional about that, especially in personal relationships, that is one of the traits I've seen in the people that are the most successful. And people don't want to hear that. They want to hear like they do this is their morning routine and this is how they make the money. No,
Right.
it's honestly, I think it's the fun stuff. It's that they are so intentional with their relationships, with their time, and they make everybody feel seen and heard.
Mm. I love that. I love that because it's so easy when we talk about success and ambition and gratitude to just focus on us and routines. And actually, just this week, I came across this idea and quote that I cannot forget, and it's fantastic. It's by Professor Deneuve at Oxford,
Okay.
and he's one of the main authors of the Happiness Report. And he said this one line that just speaks perfectly to what you said. In order to go from mental ill being to well being, we have to go from I to we,
Yes.
both figuratively and literally. So I just hearing that is like, because we can be so much wrapped up in just our things and achieving and striving that I think we miss that the good stuff comes from sitting down with nice people,
Yeah.
sharing meals, taking time to enjoy. Um, so, Jack, what's the most important thing that we haven't talked about, but we should have talked about?
Hmm. I mean, there's so much happening in the world right now. I think that it can be really easy for people to want to make a massive difference. And this can feel hypocritical coming from someone that does want to make a massive difference. But what I mean by this is we have people around us. It goes back to the principle we just talked about. We have these close circles. And if we're not making people feel better in these close circles, but we're just trying to go viral and impact 100 million people instead of the 5 people that you have
Mm,
currently an influence on, then I think we're getting things backwards. I mean, if everybody just showed up in the best way that they possibly could for 5 people in their life,
mm,
I think this world would look so much different. And we've gotten our priorities mixed where we all want to just and again, it can feel hypocritical coming from someone that's, running a podcast trying to impact as many people in the world as I can, but I think that our order of action has to come from first. It's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but in a social way.
hmm
We have to first impact and be present for the people in our immediate circle. and then we can go on to do that. I
Mm.
don't want people to get that mixed up. Don't leave behind the people that you have in your life right now for some type of thing out there, right?
Mm.
This is so important. The close relationships that you have, don't sacrifice that. Like, obviously, if your priority is like work, if you have a big dream, go for it. But don't sacrifice your relationships to the point of no return. Like, they are going to make you happy. They will ground you. And I think that's so important for people to understand nowadays. Like, you have the opportunity now to impact people and make people's lives deeper, better, more fun, more fulfilled. And so many people instead want to just go out there and make a video that might motivate people for 5 seconds, but not
Mm-hmm.
really transform.
Mm-hmm. I love what you said, that the people in our lives, they ground us, right? And it's maybe this metaphor just came to me right now as we spoke, and you said grounding. That means they ground our roots, right? If you're like a tree, we're grounded in the earth. And when you're a sapling, it's like all this environment, all the people around us that actually make you grow. And we develop a trunk and branches and flowers, and it's actually through having blossoms that are pollinated, which is also an act of service, right? From again, like the ecosystem, but you give back. Like, you have fruits that you give back, but they come from the nutrients, etc., in the soil, and they travel through the tree, and you got to have that pollination, and then you give back through can be shade to animals, can be fruits. And I'm
Yes.
wondering, is that a good way to think about both being grounded and grow and grateful and growing at the same time? How do you think about that?
Yeah, it's such an incredible analogy. It reminds me of one of my new favorite people in the world. His name's Blaine Bartlett, and he's incredible. I mean, he's spoken on stages with Bob Proctor, Jack Canfield, like these incredible old legends of success. And
Mm-hmm.
Blaine, he came on my podcast. I went on his, one of the kindest people I've ever met, and he ends every single episode he does, whether it's on another show or his, with the idea that no thing in nature is a center of accumulation.
Mm.
Every healthy thing in nature is a center of distribution, just like you said.
Wow.
And the things that are centers of accumulation, they're dying, right?
Mm.
And
For
so if
example?
um like for example, something that's in, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a biology example. I
Maybe
forget what
like
he said on my show.
maybe like a river that if it accumulates all the water, the nutrients, like.
Right. Yeah. So, like for example, the ground, the soil, it's accumulating, right? And it accumulates things when they're dead, right? The things that are dead come back to it, and then they'll grow by distributing and going out there and maybe giving away to fungi and growing into the trees and helping the soil, but or helping the seeds grow, right? But originally, when it gets accumulated, that's the dead things, and then it comes back out to grow. And I think in thinking about gratitude and ambition, we have to be rooted here in the present because as we're moving forward, it's so easy to think in the future and spend our entire time in our head in these dreams. But when you're so caught up in your ambition, you end up neglecting the one thing that you're ever truly guaranteed,
Mm.
which is the present moment. And there's always, if you think of an hourglass, there's always going to be time flowing. And the only thing that we ever have is this time that's in this little right now, right?
Right.
And if we're constantly focused on what's down here, then we
Like in
are,
the past and the future.
yeah,
Yeah.
if we're constantly focused on what's down here, what happened in the past, we're never going to grow anymore. If we're constantly focused on what's up here, we're never going to experience whatever growth we have.
Mm.
Life is meant to experience and life is meant to grow. And in order to do that, you have to be grounded in the present moment as you go through everything.
Amazing. This has been amazing. We end every podcast with the final two balance and breakthrough questions. try to keep it short, but I'll probably ask you to expand. What is an area in your life where you're still trying to get the balance right?
I think in this podcasting world, there's so much to do. And I have to remind myself that I've come so far already. And although the gap of where I am and where I want to be is still very, very large, I have to ground myself in the fact that it's happening. And this is the process. And sometimes I can get caught up in that, but it's a constant process. And I do think that I want people to understand that there is no arrival. There is no you reach gratitude and ambition, and there you are forever. Like there's no kumbaya at the end. It's always a work in progress. Life is a work in progress. You don't reach some state that I know of, and maybe besides enlightenment and the Buddha, or Jesus, or some spiritual mythical figures. You don't reach a point. We don't reach a point that everything's just all good from now, and we don't have to work. Like the process of gratitude and ambition and fulfillment. Sorry, you said keep it short.
No, that's perfect. That's perfect.
It's a constant work in progress, and I don't think I'm ever going to reach a point where it's all good. I have to wake up every day and do it again.
It's amazing. Yeah, be grateful for the gain that you achieved from where you were and where you're now, while still trying to strive to close the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Last question. What is the breakthrough? And you probably answered this already, but what is the breakthrough that you would love our listeners, people in the world, or society to achieve?
I'd like people to be able to be happy with where they are, be comfortable with where they are. Comfortable, maybe not comfortable, but know that and realize that they have everything right now that they need in order to feel a certain way. And that in itself allows them to do the things that they want to do.
Amazing. Jack, this has been an amazing conversation. I'm so happy it was with you the first time I sat down in person. I'm sure people loved the episode and your insights. They want to get in touch, learn more about your work, follow your podcasts. Where should they go?
Go to the Grateful Podcast, all platforms, any platforms. You can find me, jackwagoner.co, my website, my LinkedIn, my Instagram, just Jack Wagoner, Wagoner. There's a famous actor named Jack Wagoner that likes to steal my spot on Google. But if you type in the O and you type in podcast, you'll find me.
Jack Wagoner, everyone. What an amazing guy, 19 years old, so much wisdom. I think he's more like a 90-year-old on the wisdom scale. It's been amazing. Thank you, Jack.
Thank you, Noah. I appreciate you, man.
Appreciate it, man.
I'm so grateful for you, man.
So grateful.
Great.
Amazing.
Interview. For everybody watching and listening, Noah is an incredible podcast host. I love him so much. I love this conversation. He's going places. If you're another guest looking to come on his show, do it. I mean, I've hosted over 125 episodes, 130 episodes now. And I've been guests on probably 15, 20 different podcasts, some of them very highly ranked. And Noah stands out as definitely my favorite interview I've had so far. So
oh my God.
You have to come on his podcast. This man is going places, and I'm excited to see where this goes.
Amazing.
Let's go.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for getting through the whole conversation. I hope you loved it. Let us know in the comments how you liked it. If you have any favorite insights or quotes, feel free to tag us on Instagram, share the episode with a friend or family if it resonated, and let us know what other topics you want me to cover in the future and how you liked the show. Thank you for being here. It means the world to me, and happy to have you as part of the journey and as part of the conversation. Thank you so much.